What if I told you there's a sacred connection between your words and your wealth? A divine pathway that the financially elite have been using for centuries, while keeping it hidden from the rest of us. Are you tired of fighting an invisible battle with your finances? You've probably read the books, attended the seminars, created detailed budgets, and even cut back on life's small pleasures. Yet somehow, true financial abundance remains just beyond your reach, like trying to grasp at smoke with your bare hands. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You follow all the conventional wisdom about building wealth. Save diligently, invest wisely, work harder, only to watch others seemingly attract money effortlessly while you struggle to make ends meet. What we're exploring today transcends modern financial strategies. Stay with me until the end, because this ancient spiritual practice has remained hidden for generations, protected by those who understand its immense power to transform ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Throughout human history, across diverse cultures and spiritual traditions, there has existed a common thread: the understanding that our material reality responds to our deepest prayers and intentions. The universe operates through sacred patterns and divine rhythms that most financial experts will never acknowledge. What you're about to discover might surprise you. It's a sacred prayer ritual that, when performed with precise intention exactly 17 times, creates a spiritual alignment with the cosmic forces of abundance. This isn't positive thinking or wishful manifestation. This is about accessing the divine economy that operates beyond the physical one we've been taught to navigate. I was once like you, skeptical, logical, trained in conventional economics. My analytical mind rejected anything that couldn't be proven through traditional methods. But after witnessing transformation after transformation, people from all walks of life experiencing sudden financial breakthroughs after implementing this sacred practice, I couldn't ignore the evidence before me. This powerful prayer doesn't just change your financial circumstances. It transforms your relationship with abundance itself. It rewires the spiritual frequency through which you connect with the universal flow of prosperity. Imagine waking up to unexpected checks in the mail, surprise opportunities appearing from nowhere, forgotten investments suddenly multiplying in value, all because you aligned yourself with the divine economic principles that govern our universe. The truly wealthy have always understood that material abundance is merely a reflection of spiritual abundance. While the masses focus on manipulating external circumstances, those with true prosperity consciousness know that real wealth flows from within. If this divine prosperity wisdom resonated with you, join our spiritual abundance community by clicking subscribe. These sacred teachings will continue to find you exactly when you need them most. The true masters of wealth aren't just skilled with investments or business strategies. They've tapped into something far more profound. Throughout history, from King Solomon to modern billionaires, those who attain extraordinary abundance understand a fundamental truth. Material wealth is merely the physical manifestation of spiritual alignment. This hidden dimension of financial manifestation operates beyond the visible world of spreadsheets and market trends. It functions at a quantum level where intention shapes reality. The wealthiest 1% of humanity has always guarded this knowledge, keeping it within exclusive circles, ancient mystery schools, and secret societies. Why? Because this understanding gives them an unfair advantage, the ability to attract resources effortlessly while others struggle against invisible barriers. Our universe operates through precise mathematical harmony. Have you ever noticed how the Fibonacci sequence appears throughout nature? In the spiral of a seashell, the arrangement of flower petals, even the proportions of your own body? This divine mathematics isn't random. It's the language of creation itself. If the cosmos follows these exact patterns in everything from galaxies to DNA, wouldn't it make sense that the flow of abundance adheres to similar principles? The ancients understood this profound connection. They recognized that certain prayers, repeated with specific intention, could align human consciousness with these universal patterns. Behind the scenes of our visible reality lies an invisible framework of energy and information. Modern quantum physics has begun to glimpse what ancient spiritual traditions have taught for millennia, that consciousness influences matter at its most fundamental level. The observer affects the observed. Your attention directs energy. When you begin working with this sacred prayer, you're not just repeating words, you're recalibrating your energetic signature to match the frequency of abundance. This isn't wishful thinking. It's applied spiritual science. The revelation that changed my understanding came when I realized most people are unknowingly broadcasting a frequency of lack, then wondering why abundance remains elusive. The transformation begins when you recognize that wealth isn't something external to be chased, but an internal state to be embodied. Just as a radio must be tuned to the correct frequency to receive a clear signal, your consciousness must be aligned with the abundance frequency to receive its manifestations. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing the exact prayer that has transformed countless lives across generations. This isn't just any combination of words. It's a precise formula that creates a direct channel between your consciousness and the universal field of infinite possibility. The journey toward financial freedom begins with understanding that you're not separate from the cosmic economy. You're an essential participant in its unfolding. When you align your prayers with divine mathematics, you're not asking for blessings from an external source. You're activating what already exists within you. If you're feeling a resonance with this deeper understanding of how abundance truly works, write in the comments, "I'm awakening to my divine prosperity." Let's consider what we've been taught about building wealth. From childhood, most of us absorbed a singular narrative: work hard for decades, pinch pennies, climb the corporate ladder, and maybe, just maybe, you'll achieve financial security by retirement. This paradigm has been so deeply ingrained that we rarely question its validity or consider alternatives. But what if this exhausting blueprint for success is actually an elaborate distraction? What if the struggling and striving we've accepted as necessary is actually keeping us trapped in scarcity? Behind the scenes of mainstream financial education lies a profound revelation. Those who truly thrive financially have discovered that inner alignment precedes outer abundance. The hidden truth is that prosperity operates according to spiritual laws just as gravity operates according to physical laws. When you understand these principles, wealth flows to you with the same reliability as water flowing downhill. This isn't magical thinking. It's recognizing the invisible architecture that shapes our material reality. I witness these transformations constantly in people who embrace this sacred practice. Take Miranda, a single mother of 3 who had been working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. After implementing this prayer ritual for just 17 days, she received a letter about an inheritance from a distant relative she'd never even met, enough to pay off her debts and return to school. Or consider James, a recent college graduate drowning in student loans with no job prospects, despite sending hundreds of applications. Within 3 weeks of beginning this prayer practice, he received not 1 but 3 interview requests, ultimately accepting a position that paid nearly double what his peers were making. Perhaps most remarkable was Eleanor, a 72-year-old retired teacher living on a fixed income who had all but forgotten about a small investment she'd made decades earlier. 2 months into her prayer practice, she was contacted by a financial institution informing her that her modest initial investment had multiplied beyond anyone's expectations. These aren't anomalies or coincidences. They represent the natural outcome when someone aligns their consciousness with the divine prosperity current that permeates our universe. The transformation isn't just in their circumstances, but in their entire relationship with abundance. The journey from scarcity to prosperity begins with a fundamental mindset shift, recognizing that you aren't separated from universal abundance, but are an essential expression of it. What makes this approach so radically different from conventional financial strategies is that it addresses the root cause rather than the symptoms. Most financial advice focuses entirely on external actions, budgeting, investing, side hustles, while ignoring the internal patterns that determine which opportunities and resources flow into your experience. The impact of this revelation extends far beyond your bank account. When you recognize that prosperity is your natural state rather than something to be desperately chased, every aspect of your life transforms. Relationships deepen, creativity flourishes, purpose clarifies. If you're beginning to sense that there might be more to wealth creation than what you've been taught, if something within you is resonating with these possibilities, write in the comments. I'm ready to discover my prosperity birthright. Now let's examine what modern science has discovered about the nature of reality itself, because these findings might forever change how you understand wealth creation. Quantum physicists have been astonished to discover that at the subatomic level, particles behave differently when observed. The famous double-slit experiment proved that the mere act of observation alters the behavior of light particles. They literally change their nature depending on whether someone is watching. What does this groundbreaking revelation have to do with your financial situation? Everything. If consciousness can influence matter at its most fundamental level, then the thoughts, beliefs, and especially the prayers you direct toward your finances aren't just abstract concepts. They're causal forces shaping your material reality. The journey of abundance transformation doesn't end here. Click subscribe to receive more ancient prosperity secrets that most financial advisors will never share with you. The breakthrough understanding here is that your bank account, your investment portfolio, your entire financial ecosystem isn't just responding to your physical actions, but to the invisible patterns generated by your consciousness. When you begin to work with this sacred prayer, you're not just engaging in a spiritual ritual. You're literally reprogramming the quantum field that determines which resources and opportunities flow into your experience. This isn't pseudoscience or wishful thinking. Leading physicists like Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, concluded, all matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. Your consciousness is that intelligent force in your own life. Let me share with you the remarkable journey of Carmen Rodriguez, whose transformation perfectly illustrates these principles in action. In 1968, Carmen was a 43-year-old secretary at a small law firm in Caracas, Venezuela. Her tiny apartment perpetually smelled of mildew, and anxiety about next month's rent had become her most faithful companion. Behind her carefully maintained professional appearance was a woman drowning in debt and desperation. She had tried everything, working overtime, cutting expenses to the bone, attempting small side businesses that inevitably failed. The cycle of lack seemed unbreakable, a prison she had somehow built around herself without knowing how to find the key. What made Carmen's situation particularly painful was the contrast with her earlier dreams. As a young woman, she had imagined a life of purpose and prosperity, but somewhere along the way, those visions had faded, replaced by the dull monotony of survival. The spark in her eyes had dimmed, and her once vibrant energy had been replaced by resignation. On a humid Tuesday evening in July, with nowhere else to go, Carmen found herself sitting in the back row of a small community theater where a spiritual teacher was giving a lecture. She hadn't come looking for answers. At that point, she had stopped believing answers existed. What she heard that evening would fundamentally alter the course of her existence through a specific prayer protocol that addressed the root cause of financial struggle. If you see reflections of your own journey in Carmen's story, the disappointment, the struggle, the feeling that prosperity is for others but not for you, write in the comments, I recognize myself in Carmen's story. Let me be clear about something important. What we're exploring goes far beyond positive thinking, visualization boards, or casual affirmations. While those approaches have their place, they operate at the surface level of consciousness, like skipping stones across the water. Without ever diving into the depths, The sacred prayer practice I'm sharing works at a quantum level where reality itself is programmed through precise vibrational patterns. Many spiritual teachers have diluted these powerful truths into comfortable, mainstream concepts that don't threaten our conventional worldview. Just think positive thoughts, they say. But this fundamental misunderstanding is why so many sincere seekers experience frustration and disillusionment. Positivity alone doesn't transform your financial reality. Alignment does. The revelation that transformed Carmen's understanding that evening wasn't another feel-good message about gratitude journaling or visualizing checks in the mail. It was a profound paradigm shift about the nature of abundance itself. The spiritual teacher explained that wealth isn't something we chase through endless striving and struggling. It's something we tune into, like adjusting an antenna to receive a clear signal. Most people spend their entire lives on the wrong frequency, wondering why abundance eludes them while others seem to attract it effortlessly. They're desperately turning the dial in every direction without understanding the precise frequency that activates the universal flow. Think about it this way. Right now, in the room where you're sitting, there are countless radio waves, television signals, and wireless transmissions passing through your physical body. You can't see them or feel them, but they're there, carrying information, music, and images. The only reason you don't perceive them is that you don't have the right receiver tuned to the right frequency. Similarly, the current of divine abundance is flowing constantly all around you. It doesn't need to be created or convinced to appear. It simply needs to be received through the correct spiritual frequency. This sacred prayer acts as the perfect receiver, calibrated to the exact vibrational pattern that allows prosperity to flow into your physical experience. The journey toward financial freedom begins with this fundamental understanding. You aren't separate from abundance, struggling to attract it from a distant source. You're immersed in it constantly, learning to align your consciousness with what already exists. For Carmen, this perspective represented a complete reversal of everything she'd believed about money. After years of pushing, straining, and forcing, trying to extract prosperity from a seemingly reluctant universe, she suddenly understood that her relationship with abundance had been backward all along. The transformation wasn't about doing more, but about being different, shifting her inner state to match the frequency of what she desired to experience. If this revelation about tuning into wealth rather than chasing after it resonates with something deep within you, write in the comments, "I'm ready to tune to the prosperity frequency." At the heart of this sacred practice lies what spiritual masters have called the divine blueprint for manifestation. This prayer isn't random words strung together or wishful thinking. It's a precise spiritual formula that, when activated through focused intention, creates a direct command to the universal intelligence that governs prosperity. Think of this prayer as containing a specific cosmic code that unlocks abundance. Just as computer programmers use exact sequences of characters to create software, this ancient prayer contains the exact vibrational sequence needed to reprogram your relationship with universal supply. Each word, each syllable, each intentional repetition creates a specific resonance in the quantum field surrounding you. The illuminating insight that transformed Carmen's understanding that evening. Root cause. Now, I want to reveal what may be the most crucial element of this entire spiritual prosperity practice, the specific consciousness you must maintain while engaging with the sacred prayer. This isn't just about repeating words mechanically, but about the energetic state you generate through your focused awareness during each repetition. When the spiritual teacher shared this insight with Carmen, it completely transformed her understanding of prayer itself. Most people approach spiritual practices like transactions, reciting words with the expectation of receiving something in return. But this approach creates a fundamental energetic contradiction that neutralizes the power of the prayer before it even begins. The revelation that changed everything was understanding that effective prayer isn't about asking or pleading, but about embodying the consciousness of what you're claiming. When you repeat the sacred words, you aren't trying to convince a reluctant universe to bless you with prosperity. You're declaring your alignment with abundance as your natural state and birthright. Behind the scenes of effective spiritual practice is this hidden truth. The universe doesn't respond to your words, but to the vibrational signature you generate while speaking them. You could recite the most powerful prayer in existence, but if your internal state contradicts the words, nothing will change in your external reality. For Carmen, this insight explained why previous spiritual approaches had yielded minimal results. She had been praying from a consciousness of lack, desperation, and unworthiness, essentially broadcasting a frequency that contradicted her verbal requests. The transformation began when she learned to maintain a state of certainty, gratitude, and alignment while engaging with the sacred words. As you work with this prayer, you must simultaneously maintain a specific visualization that completes the manifestation circuit. While speaking each repetition, see in your mind's eye money and resources flowing to you from unexpected directions and sources. This is critically important. Don't limit your visualization to conventional channels like salary increases or expected investments. The journey toward prosperity consciousness requires expanding your awareness beyond the few pathways you can currently imagine. Most people limit their financial manifestations by focusing exclusively on known sources. A raise at work, a successful side business, a lucky investment. But the universe has infinitely more channels available than your logical mind can conceive. When Carmen began visualizing abundance flowing from unexpected sources, she opened herself to possibilities that had been present all along, but invisible to her previous mindset. This shift in consciousness doesn't just change what you receive, it transforms what you're able to perceive. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible when you expand your awareness beyond conventional pathways. The transformation isn't mystical, but neurological. By consistently visualizing unexpected prosperity channels, you're literally rewiring your brain's reticular activating system, the part responsible for determining what information reaches your conscious awareness. You're training your perception to recognize opportunities that would have previously remained invisible. If you're beginning to sense how your own limited expectations might have been creating financial blind spots in your awareness, write in the comments. I'm expanding my prosperity vision. The most overlooked aspect of this entire prosperity practice is the emotional component. When the spiritual teacher emphasized this point to Carmen, it completely transformed her approach. Most people focus exclusively on the words of their prayers or the visualizations they create, neglecting the essential emotional frequency that actually activates manifestation. The revelation that changed everything was understanding that you must simultaneously feel the emotional freedom that abundance brings, not just the intellectual concept of having more money, but the visceral sensation of liberation, expansion, and possibility that accompanies true financial freedom. This emotional state isn't something you'll experience after your circumstances change. It's the causal force that creates those changes in the first place. Think about it this way. Emotions are energy in motion. They generate specific, vibrational patterns that radiate from your being and interact with the quantum field surrounding you. When you engage with this sacred prayer while feeling genuine gratitude, certainty, and joy, you're creating an irresistible magnetic force that draws corresponding circumstances into your experience. For Carmen, accessing these emotions initially seemed impossible. How could she feel financially free while drowning in debt? The breakthrough came when she realized she wasn't pretending or deceiving herself, but accessing a deeper truth that existed beyond her temporary circumstances. She wasn't denying her current reality, but connecting with a more fundamental reality, her divine birthright of abundance. The journey toward prosperity consciousness requires developing what spiritual masters call emotional sovereignty, the ability to generate authentic feeling states regardless of external conditions. This isn't about suppression or denial, but about consciously choosing which emotional frequencies you broadcast to the universe. Behind the scenes of this emotional mastery is a profound neurological transformation. Each time you generate these positive emotional states during prayer, you're creating new neural pathways that eventually become your default response. What initially requires conscious effort gradually becomes your natural state of being. Now, I want to reveal the specific mental chant that must accompany each repetition of the sacred prayer, directing your subconscious mind toward receptivity and openness. As you speak each repetition, silently maintain this precise thought. Unexpected doors open. Unforeseen channels appear freely. This isn't just a positive affirmation, but a precise instruction to your deeper mind about where to focus its pattern recognition capabilities. By repeatedly emphasizing unexpected and unforeseen, you're programming your awareness to recognize opportunities beyond the limited channels you can currently imagine. What makes this mental chant so powerful is how it bypasses your conscious limitations. Most people remain fixated on conventional routes to financial improvement, raises, promotions, better investments, while remaining blind to the countless unconventional channels through which abundance can flow. This chant specifically directs your awareness toward these non-obvious opportunities. For Carmen, this mental programming created what she later described as prosperity vision, an enhanced ability to perceive abundance where others saw only limitation. Ideas and opportunities that had always existed in her environment suddenly became visible once her mind was programmed to recognize them. If this revelation about the emotional dimension of prosperity prayer resonates with something deep within you, write in the comments, "I'm activating my emotional prosperity code." Behind the scenes of this mental chant is a fascinating process occurring in your neurological architecture. Your brain contains something called the reticular activating system, a network of neurons that filters the millions of sensory inputs bombarding you each moment and decides which ones deserve your conscious attention. This system is literally the gatekeeper of your awareness, determining what you notice and what remains invisible to you. When you consistently repeat, "Unexpected doors open, unforeseen channels appear freely," during your prayer practice, you're essentially reprogramming this filtering system. You're instructing your brain to prioritize and bring to your awareness opportunities, resources, and connections that would have previously been filtered out as irrelevant or impossible according to your old prosperity blueprint. This reprogramming isn't mystical, but a documented neurological phenomenon called selective attention. Your brain physically changes its filtering parameters based on what you consistently emphasize as important. When Carmen began this practice, she described experiencing what felt like new financial possibilities suddenly appearing in her environment. But the revelation was that they had been there all along, simply filtered out by her previous programming. The transformation wasn't just in her external circumstances, but in her fundamental perception of reality itself. As her reticular activating system adjusted to her new instructions, she began noticing potential income sources, valuable connections, and overlooked resources that had been invisible to her previous mindset. It wasn't that the world had changed. Her perception had expanded to include possibilities that existed all along. Now, I want to reveal an essential component of this prosperity protocol that most spiritual teachers completely overlook: the creation of a physical anchor that maintains the vibrational pattern you've established through prayer. After completing the sacred prayer exactly 17 times with full consciousness and proper visualization, you must create what the spiritual teacher called a prosperity token. This isn't just symbolic, but serves a precise energetic function. Take a small piece of paper and write the date and your full name at the top. Beneath that, write, "I am the wealth of God in action," followed by the sacred prayer. Fold this paper precisely into 4 equal sections, creating clean, sharp creases. This quartering represents the 4 directions of manifestation, signifying that abundance can flow to you from all points of the universe. The hidden truth is that this folded paper now serves as a physical anchor for the prosperity frequency you've established. By carrying it with you in your wallet or purse for exactly 19 days, you maintain constant energetic connection with the abundance vibration you've activated. The paper literally becomes a prosperity talisman, a physical object charged with specific intentional energy. What makes this approach fundamentally different from temporary visualization or affirmation? Practices is this creation of a persistent energetic field that works continuously whether you're consciously focusing on prosperity or not. The charged token maintains the vibrational connection 24 hours a day for the full 19-day period required for complete energetic recalibration. During this period, the new vibrational pattern becomes progressively embedded in both your energetic field and your neurological pathways, creating a new default setting for your relationship with abundance. 4. Carmen. This physical token served as both a reminder of her commitment and an energetic broadcast station, continuously emanating her new prosperity frequency. If you're intrigued by how a simple physical object can serve as an energetic anchor for your prosperity consciousness, write in the comments, "I'm creating my prosperity token today." Now, I want to illuminate what may be the most counterintuitive aspect of this entire prosperity protocol, the reversal of what most people believe about manifestation. The conventional approach suggests that once your external circumstances improve, your emotional state will naturally follow. Once you have more money, then you'll feel abundant. Once your financial problems are solved, then you'll experience peace. This perspective has the causality completely backward. The spiritual teacher revealed to Carmen that you don't wait until you see abundance to feel abundant. You generate the feeling first, and the material manifestation follows that. Energetic direction. This revelation transforms manifestation from wishful thinking into applied spiritual science. Think of it like learning to drive. You don't wait until you're moving at 60 mph to turn the steering wheel in the direction you want to go. You turn first, and the movement follows. Similarly, you don't wait until you see abundance to feel abundant. You generate the feeling of abundance first, and the material manifestation follows that energetic direction. For Carmen, this reversed understanding initially seemed impossible. How could she genuinely feel prosperous while drowning in debt? The breakthrough came when she realized she wasn't being asked to deny her current circumstances, but to connect with a deeper truth that transcended them. She wasn't pretending to be wealthy, but acknowledging her inherent connection to universal abundance regardless of temporary conditions. Behind the scenes of this approach is a profound metaphysical principle. Your emotional state isn't just a response to reality, but a causal force that creates it. When you consistently generate feelings of gratitude, certainty, and joyful expectation during your prayer practice, you're establishing the energetic template that physical circumstances will eventually mirror. This understanding transformed Carmen's relationship with the entire manifestation process. Instead of desperately monitoring external conditions for signs of improvement, she focused on maintaining her internal prosperity consciousness regardless of appearances. The external manifestations became secondary, natural reflections of her new vibrational signature rather than the primary goal of her practice. The journey toward financial freedom requires this fundamental reversal in your approach to manifestation. You must be willing to feel prosperous before there's external evidence to support that feeling. This isn't self-deception, but spiritual alignment with a deeper reality that already exists beyond physical appearances. Now, I want to reveal what may be the most profound aspect of this entire prosperity teaching, the fundamental identity shift that makes everything else possible. The most transformative insight that changed Carmen's life wasn't a new technique or visualization, but a complete recalibration of who she understood herself to be. The spiritual teacher explained that the most critical shift wasn't in her actions or even her thoughts, but in her essential identity. When approaching this sacred prayer practice, she wasn't to see herself as a person lacking money who was desperately trying to attract more. She was to recognize herself as a divine being commanding energy that was already rightfully hers. This identity transformation is the hidden catalyst that turns the prayer from empty words into a powerful conduit for prosperity. When Carmen began approaching her practice from this new self-perception, everything changed. She wasn't asking the universe for help. She was exercising her divine authority as a co-creator of her reality. If you're beginning to recognize how this fundamental identity shift might transform your entire relationship with prosperity, write in the comments, "I claim my divine prosperity identity." It's important to understand that authentic spiritual transformation is rarely instantaneous. Many teachers create unrealistic expectations by promising overnight miracles that leave sincere seekers disillusioned when immediate transformation doesn't occur. Carmen's experience reflects the more authentic pattern of progressive unfoldment that happens when working with universal laws. The journey toward prosperity follows a specific sequence that the spiritual teacher carefully outlined. First come the internal shifts, subtle changes in perception, decreased anxiety about money, moments of unexpected peace despite circumstances remaining unchanged. These inner transformations are easily dismissed, yet they form the essential foundation for external prosperity. By the second week of Carmen's practice, she began experiencing what spiritual traditions call synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that signal alignment with divine flow. She'd overhear conversations about opportunities she would have previously missed. Information she needed would appear at precisely the right moment. Small amounts of money would come from unexpected sources, not life-changing sums, but evidence that something was shifting in her energetic field. The profound wisdom in Carmen's story is understanding that these initial manifestations aren't the end goal, but confirmation that vibrational realignment is underway. Each small evidence of prosperity reinforced her new identity as someone naturally aligned with abundance, creating an accelerating momentum of positive change. Only in the third phase do the tangible, substantial manifestations begin to appear. The job offers, unexpected refunds, business opportunities, and financial breakthroughs that most people mistakenly focus on exclusively. The revelation that transformed Carmen's practice was recognizing these external changes as natural reflections of her internal transformation rather than the primary purpose of her prayers. This pattern of unfoldment, internal shifts first, then synchronicities, then tangible manifestation, represents the natural progression of prosperity consciousness. Understanding this sequence protects you from the discouragement that comes from expecting immediate external results without the necessary internal foundation. Now, I want to address what may be the single most crucial factor that determines whether this sacred practice will transform your financial reality or become just another abandoned spiritual experiment. The variable that makes all the difference isn't the technique itself, but your commitment to implementation. When Carmen first heard the spiritual teacher reveal this prosperity protocol, she faced a decision that would define her financial future: continue with the conventional approaches that had failed her for decades, or embrace this alternative pathway with complete commitment. The transformation began when she chose to follow the ritual with the devotion of someone with nothing left to lose. There was no half-hearted experimentation, no skeptical trying it out to see what might happen. She approached the practice with the same seriousness and dedication she would give to any crucial medical treatment or life-saving protocol. The impact of this wholehearted commitment cannot be overstated. Knowledge without implementation creates no change. Many people collect spiritual and metaphysical techniques like intellectual trophies, prideful of what they know while experiencing no tangible transformation in their lives. The wisdom that separates those who permanently transform their prosperity consciousness from those who remain in lack is simple. Committed action trumps passive knowledge every time. If you sense that this might be the missing element in your own spiritual journey, not another technique, but genuine commitment to consistent practice, write in the comments, "I choose committed practice over passive knowledge." What you now possess is nothing less than a sacred key that can permanently transform your financial reality. This ancient wisdom has been carefully guarded through generations, shared only with those prepared to receive it. The profound simplicity of this practice, repeating this divine prayer 17 times with proper consciousness, belies its extraordinary power to recalibrate your entire relationship with prosperity. The decision point you face now is identical to the one Carmen encountered that humid evening in Caracas. Having received this revelation, will you approach it as merely interesting information, or will you engage with it as a transformative protocol that demands your complete commitment? The variable that determines everything about your results isn't the technique itself that has been proven effective across cultures and decades. The only variable is you. I share these sacred teachings each week, revealing the hidden dimensions of abundance that conventional financial education simply doesn't address. If you found value in today's revelation, I'd love to have you join our spiritual prosperity community by clicking that subscribe button below. This way, these divine insights will find their way to you as soon as they're revealed. When you begin implementing this practice and experiencing shifts in your consciousness, I'd love to hear your story. Take a moment to like this video. It's a simple, energetic acknowledgement of the connection we've shared through this teaching and helps these sacred prayers reach others who are ready for this level of prosperity consciousness. If this message found its way to you today, it wasn't by accident. There are no coincidences in a universe governed by divine mathematics. Let me know you received this timely message by writing in the comments. This divine revelation was meant for me. Right beside this video, you'll discover another teaching that reveals the complementary prayer to the one we've explored today, the exact spiritual formula that removes the deepest blocks to receiving. These two practices together create an unstoppable prosperity current. Click there when you're ready to continue your prosperity awakening journey with me. Remember, you are the wealth of God in action. Everything you need is